All right, Nate, we're going to talk about mounting that volume group or the logical volume that you just created. Before we do that, do you want to spend some time talking about the meta device that we've created in DevMapper and how that looks?
Yeah, or honestly, just what problem are we solving with LVMs and volume groups and whatnot, right? I think that's a good level setting exercise here, right? Traditionally, you would lay a file system right on top of a block device, and a lot of operating systems still treat file systems that way or storage that way, right? Windows, for example, when you're laying down, I mean, I guess you can get more creative, right? There are ways to get this done, but generally you've got a physical disk, you lay down a file system, and that's where your stuff goes. And it's really important, of course, to then back up your data because if that underlying block device starts to fail, the only real options you have is to replace the block device and move your data to a new one, right? LVM gives us the ability to span volume groups across several block devices, which is really handy in a virtual world because you've got all these virtual disks. Maybe you just need to expand a VM, you're putting in a new disk underneath it, and you just expand the volume group onto the new disk. I did that a ton in my systems administration days, but you can do the same thing with physical disks too. Now, personally, I think that having several physical disks in a volume group can sometimes be dangerous just because if you're not paying attention and you miss the fact that one of those disks dies, it could corrupt the whole file system, and that's not good, right? But if you are paying attention and you notice that a disk is failing, LVM gives you the ability to replace it. You can move all those extents over to a new physical volume, and that's exactly what we're going to show later on in today's demos.
Well, and in my production systems, I almost always use some type of RAID as my underlying block device.
Right.
And then I use LVM on top of it so I can carve that large pile of space into smaller pieces for usage around, for VAR or home or whatever.
Right.
So I push all of the resiliency stuff to a RAID, and then I don't have to worry about the resiliency stuff with LVM directly.
In my time as a systems administrator, I've seen people think that the volume group is like a RAID. And it kind of is, but it's like a RAID 0, right? And everybody knows
Well,
what RAID 0 can get you.
there's actually like a whole bunch of options in LVM to make it kind of function like not just a RAID 0 where you can stripe across multiple devices or try to fling
Right.
your data across multiple devices, but there's also mirroring that can be set up in it. So it actually duplicates your data across multiple devices. But the reality is like, why not use a thing that is dedicated for that task? Like RAID.
Yeah. I mean, there's even software RAID that you can run inside of Linux that even if you're on a machine that doesn't have a physical RAID controller, you can RAID across several, they have to be the same size device, of course, but you can, I think it's MD Atom. Yeah. Unless there's a newer technology now that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, why not do that instead of depending on LVM to save you?
Right. And MD-ADM is the correct utility for working with software RAID.
Yeah.
It also uses the dev mapper subsystem. So
Yeah.
like the thing that's actually doing all the meta device management does both meta device management for software RAID and meta device management for volume grouping.
Right. Right. All right. So yeah, we can mount that logical volume if we want to show people that in fact we did get a file system here. You remember we made LV0 inside of VG0. Now, Scott, you just talked about that dev mapper structure, right? So inside of dev mapper, you're going to see VG0-LV0. As you created more logical volumes, there'd be a new VG0-LV1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. And if you make more volume groups, they show up as, the name of that volume group. Or you can just go to good old school ls dev VG0, right? Sorry, there's too many things that start with the letter V inside of dev. Dev VG0 will just have devices inside of there for each logical volume. Now, I don't know if there's a good reason to use one or the other. I generally use dev mapper when I was mounting these things in production, but you can mount either, right? I don't know if there's something where if that were to change, dev mapper is smoother. I don't know, but anyway, just kind of backing into a hole here. But we're gonna mount the dev VG0 LV0, and we'll just mount it in slash mount because I don't know if that's a better place to do this. Mount, we're gonna do dev VG0 LV0.
It helps if you spell mount right.
Oh yeah, mount. Maybe you don't know. Maybe I have a system alias for mount. You don't know.
I do not.
inside of /MNT, right? And now if we do like a df-h, you're going to see, look, there's my dev mapper. Oh, it just mapped that anyway, instead of going to the dev vg0 lv0. You don't have a choice. Doesn't matter which one you do. It just goes to the dev mapper anyway.
Yeah, when it displays, it uses the dev mapper path, but
Yeah.
you can use interchangeably either the dev mapper path or dev volume group name, logical volume name in all your commands that you use. It'll figure it out.
And let's just go ahead and put like a file in there. Super valuable file, empty file. It's the file name that matters, not the contents, right?
It appears
So,
to be a super businessy file.
Yeah, it's super businessy. I could even put that in there if you want. But anyway, so there we go. We have it mounted, right? And you can see that I didn't have to know or care that it was logical volume as long as I knew what device path it was in. You just mount it like any other disk.